Having a little technical difficulties over here, but I guess we've made it through. So we're hoping that all is well and that we can continue on in the show. We unfortunately didn't get a chance to get our prayer in because of some technical difficulties, but we're going to be okay. Is that all right up in there, Amani? Okay, so we're going to make it happen. I guess we got some little things going on. I guess the weather ain't the only issue that's messing with us today. We got other little things going on, but we're going to make it work. Let's get this stuff out the way and get it going. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to Fathers Who Care. And again, this is an opportunity for us to bring to you some information, individuals, and topics that we have discussed, issues and concerns that surround and about the city. And we hope that some of the information that is being shared would be helpful to you in your way of navigating some of the services that are being conducted in the city and around the city. I hope all is well with you all. I know we've been having some frigid weather. Kind of got me down a few times, but I'm gonna keep on pressing on. I guess if it don't break you, it won't make you. So you got to keep on pressing. So we're gonna keep it moving. So with that being said, listen, I want to introduce to some and present to others our guest this evening, none other than our friend here, Deborah Witzburg. She's the Inspector General for the City of Chicago, and she's gonna give us some information and updates on what's going on in the Inspector General's office. We'll find out some things that she got going on, some things that's on her heart, on her mind. We're going to talk about city oversight, accountability, transparency, and some of the other concerns that we may have or may be able to pull up. So let's do this here right quickly. Again, thank you all for tuning in to Fathers Who Care. For additional information about Fathers Who Care, log on to fatherswhocare.org. Give us a call at 773-287-5821 for additional information about some of the programs that we're offering, activities, community outreach, civic engagement, youth development, community and youth awareness programs, mentoring programs. You name it, we got a few things going on, and if not, we can give you some resources or some referrals to places that we do have. So with that being said, let's do this quickly and get some conversation going. You know, here at Fathers Who Care, we're continuously trying to bridge the gap. We really think it's important that we bridge the gap in relationship between the community, between the city, between law enforcement, and others. And so in doing such, I've met our Inspector General some time ago when we were doing, we call those gap building programs, where we was in the community and we had the superintendent, we had the deputies and all of the folks coming around the table. We had, that was, what's her name? Maggie. Mm-hmm. Maggie with yep. Maggie Hickey, yep. Right?
Yep.
And so we had a whole lot of folks coming together, and we really had some good things going in that it was complete transparency. We had folks coming from COPA all over the place, and everybody was coming together to do in a collective form where that information was being shared by all the players around that table. And our guest was one of the members on the panel, and has been committed to the plight of transparency, accountability, oversight ever since I've known her. And I believe that our heart is in the right place. We know that our heart is in the right place. We love the fact that she's committed to it. She has brought so much transparency and oversight and professionalism to the office of the Inspector General, the City of Chicago Inspector General, that we love her so dearly for the work that she's done. And she's always been easy to get to. She's always been open to the community. Anytime the community call on us, she's there. Surveying, outreach, you name it, she's been there. So without any further ado, I'd like to present the others and introduce the others. Present to some and introduce the others. None other than our friend, Inspector General Deborah Witzburg. So Deborah, tell us what's happening, why are you so passionate in this work, and what is the premise of the office or the mission and goals of the Office of the Inspector General? Please tell us.
Well, thank you, Reverend. Thank you for having me. Thank you for always being so supportive of our work. I really appreciate it.
Can't help it but love you.
Let's stop there then. So I so appreciate the invitation to come and talk about the office and the work that the fine people there are doing. The mission of the Office of Inspector General is to promote economy, effectiveness, efficiency, and integrity in the operation of city government. What that means in terms of real people is, from my perspective, for generations, Chicagoans have gotten less than they deserve from city government. For generations, city government has been broken and opaque, not accountable, not transparent.
Okay.
And for generations, city government has given people every reason to mistrust what happens in City Hall.
Okay.
And so that brings us to a place where I often say the city operates at a deficit of legitimacy. Nobody trusts what comes out of City Hall, and we frankly haven't given them any reason to.
Okay.
And so the work of our office is to try to build a government that looks more like the one that Chicagoans deserve. We're working to build a government that is more transparent, more accountable, where people get held to account when they break the rules, when they abuse the public trust, and where we find and take opportunities to make city government work better.
Okay. So in doing so, can you tell us now, there's ways that you report back to the
Yes.
community on that.
Yes.
And that's through quarterly reports.
That's right.
And so I think we should be at the fourth quarter report.
That's right. We just issued
Okay.
our report for the fourth quarter of 2025.
Okay. So talk to us when we're talking about community trust and transparency. What are we basically saying in relationship to your office?
Yeah. So our quarterly reports are the place where we kind of update everybody on what we're doing. And because of our confidentiality rules around our investigative work, our quarterly reports are really the only place where we issue written statements on our misconduct investigations, on the work we do to hold people accountable when they break the rules, when they abuse the public trust. And so this quarter, in the fourth quarter of 2025, we report out on a number of investigations we conducted where we found that city actors break the rules. And I think that's so important when it comes to transparency and accountability, because it's through that reporting that we kind of reassure people that somebody's watching, and that when people abuse positions of public trust, there are consequences for doing that. So among the cases we reported out in this quarter were some Chicago Police Department members who committed loan fraud around the PPP program.
Is that still going on?
It's still going on. We report out on some other city employees who broke the rules. We found one city employee who went to a social club for hours at a time on the city dime, on the taxpayer dime. We found another case where a city employee faked an on-duty injury in order to get workers' compensation benefits. I'm particularly offended by that kind of case because I think benefits fraud makes it harder for people who need and deserve benefits to get them.
Right.
So we report out on a number of those cases where we found that bad actors broke the rules, and we recommended discipline for those people.
Okay.
The other,
Go ahead, please. No,
I'm
please,
sorry.
please.
The other thing
Please, go
we
ahead.
worked hard on this quarter.
No, please.
Well, I have you. The other thing that we worked really hard on this quarter was campaign finance oversight. So I feel very strongly that as we work,
Particularly this season, huh?
Indeed, it's election season already.
Yeah.
Feels like it's just about always election season in Chicago. So
Absolutely.
as we work to build a government that we can ask people to trust, I think one really important area of focus is to get illegal money out of city politics. I think there has long been an impression, and maybe a reality, that there's a for sale sign on the door to City Hall. And we can't run a government that way, at least not one that we can ask people to trust. And so we have, over the last few years while I've been in this job, devoted huge resources to more effective oversight of campaign contributions. So there are all kinds of rules on the books, and the rules aren't perfect, and there are gaps in the rules, but there are rules on the books that limit who can give money to people running for city office and how much money they can give. And we have devoted a lot of time and energy to making sure that those rules get followed, that we don't have people pouring money into city politics in order to buy influence. And this quarter...
And that is possible, correct?
It is possible
to buy influence.
Well, yes.
Okay.
I think yes is a reasonable answer to that question.
We're constantly hearing things on the national level about different possibilities.
That's right.
Right?
And right here at home.
Improprieties or what have you.
And right here at home, where
Absolutely.
you don't have to look very deep into the history books to find City of Chicago elected officials going to prison for taking bribes, for example. So, I think that's really important work. And this quarter, we report more than $180,000 in illegal contributions.
That's 180,000.
Yes.
In illegal contributions.
That's right.
Okay, explain that.
So those are contributions we found that broke the rules. They were either contributions from people who are not allowed to give contributions at all, or more often, those are situations where somebody has a rule that limits how much they are allowed to contribute to a city candidate. So for example, a company that has a contract with the city has rules around how much money it can give to somebody running for mayor, for example. And so many of those illegal contributions that we identified were situations where somebody gave way more money than they were allowed to.
So it's a limit.
That's right.
And some folks have surpassed the limit.
Exceeded the limits.
Exceeded the limit.
Exactly
Right
right.
word, right.
So the illegal dollars there that we found this quarter were over $180,000. And those are dollars that we identified and we had returned. We had those violations cured. That means we got that illegal money out of city government. And so that is a really good outcome from my perspective. That's a higher dollar amount than we've ever reported before with our campaign contribution oversight.
Now, when something like that happens and it's caught, if
Yes.
you will, so how is that addressed? How does your office address it? Does your office contact those individuals and give them
Yes.
recommendations on what to do?
That's exactly right. So there's sort of a
Okay.
two-step process. And
Okay.
I think it's a process that recognizes that mistakes are possible.
And it happens.
And it happens. So the first step when we identify an improper contribution is that we send what are called cure notices. So we send a letter to the person who gave the contribution and to the candidate for elective office who received the contribution. And we say in those letters, we've identified this contribution, it is improper, either it's altogether improper or it's too much money. And we recommend that you cure it. We recommend that you, the candidate, return the check, write a check back to the contributor, and you, the original contributor, ask for your money back. And if they do that, then the violation is cured. The illegal money is returned, and everybody's off the hook.
Okay.
And I think that's a good process because it does allow for mistakes to be addressed when everybody is a good faith actor.
Okay.
Now, oftentimes that happens. And in fact, all $180,000 that we're talking about here, all of those contributions are cured ones. We found those, they were improper, they all got cured.
Meaning they was returned.
They were returned. What also happened this quarter is kind of the second step in the process. If an improper contribution does not get cured, then what we're dealing with is a potential violation of the city's ethics ordinance.
Okay.
And that's an enforcement action before the city's Board of Ethics. So if we identify an illegal contribution and it doesn't get fixed, the mistake doesn't get cleaned up, then we investigate the people involved, and if we find that they did in fact break the city's ethics rules, then we send those cases to the Board of Ethics and ask that those people be sanctioned for breaking the ethics rules.
So were there any situations where cases was not able to be cured?
Yes. Our quarterly report includes those situations as well.
And they were sent to the Board of Ethics.
The Board of Ethics, that's right.
Now, so that means after the warning, they just omitted it.
Yes.
So now, what's the status of those that's supposed to be under review with the Board of Ethics? And how did that work?
So the Board of Ethics is a really important entity in city government. We are an investigating agency. The Board of Ethics is an adjudicating agency, which means they are making decisions, at least in the first instance, on what to do with potential violations of the city's ethics ordinance.
Okay.
So we have some cases in a number of different kind of statuses before the board. That's important because those cases can't go anywhere. Nobody's going to get punished for breaking the ethics rules if the Board of Ethics can't do its work. And the board is currently, frankly, in a really tough position to do its work because there are vacancies on the Board of Ethics. There are positions on the Board of Ethics that have been empty for a very long time.
And when you say very long?
Many, 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 many months. And the Board of Ethics is waiting for the mayor to fill those vacancies. Those are mayoral appointments, which is complicated to begin with.
Okay.
But only the mayor can fill those vacancies. And we have gone many months without the mayor having done so. And I think that's a really big problem for two reasons. I think as an immediate matter, it makes it really hard for the board to do its work. It doesn't have enough people to do its work. The second problem, and maybe one that lasts longer than the vacancies, is I think that the failure to fill those vacancies sends a message that the city is not prioritizing enforcement of the ethics rules. And I think that is a problem, right? We talked about this deficit of legitimacy. This is the kind of thing that contributes to that. And my fear is that damage will last much longer than the vacancies on the board.
Okay, so what should the community be aware of? I mean, we don't know exactly the ins and outs or
Yeah.
why these vacancies have not been filled, but we know they need to be filled.
Yes.
In order for the checks and balance to run its course, correct?
Yes.
Because
exactly right.
it's impossible for you to do the work that you're doing. Well, you're doing the work you're supposed to do.
But there's nowhere for it to go.
Right, and there's nowhere for it. I mean, there's no oversight to the work that you're doing.
Right.
So that means that there appears to be some type of gap here,
Yes.
that things can outweigh a certain term.
That's right.
Is that possible?
Yes.
So what can the community do to make this work, or to do what we can to make sure that all of the work that you've done to bring transparency to certain, let's say, this contribution case?
Yeah.
I mean, because folks are saying, folks on a national level and other places are literally buying favors. Is that true? Can they actually do that? Do they actually do that?
Does that happen?
Yes, does it happen?
I'd say yes.
I
I'd
think
say
so
yes,
too.
that happens.
I was being a little bit sarcastic, but I would think so too.
Yes.
So what can we do to work with you or to educate the community on what are some of the vacancies, or some of the roles, or some of the issues that are facing oversight coming out of your office that we need to be focused on or need to promote?
Yeah. I really appreciate that question. I think, and you and I have talked about this sort of question before, right? What people can do to...
Right. I think it's important that they know.
I think so too. I am a big believer in, I'm not going to get this exactly right, but, Ida B. Wells said that if you want to right a wrong, you shine the light of truth upon it. I'm a big believer in that idea. I think that political accountability is very powerful. And if we can shine the light of truth here and demand political accountability, call your alderman and say it's really important that the city take ethics enforcement seriously. We've got to fill these vacant positions. We have got to send a message loud and clear that the rules matter and public trust in government matters.
Now, is it true that that last budget was proposing raises for council members?
Yes, council members generally get an annual raise. I don't know the exact number in this particular budget year.
So it's annual.
That is usually how it works.
Okay.
And sometimes they can waive them on an individual basis. Individual alders can waive the raise.
Have they waived them?
Sometimes they do.
Okay.
Some of them do some of the time.
So tell us about public safety in the work that you're doing.
So that is, public safety has always been an area of tremendous focus for us. For me, certainly, that's where I did a lot of work before I was in this job, and I think it matters a lot to Chicagoans. And so what else? There's a great deal to be said about that. But I think I will say that we are really focused on two things broadly. One is the effectiveness of Chicago's public safety apparatus. How good are we at keeping people safe in uniform and out? And then secondly, are we fostering public trust? To the point that you started when you talked about the original work that we did together, it is vitally, vitally important that there is a trusting and positive relationship between the police department and the community it serves. And so we try to focus on kind of both of those questions. Are we doing a good job keeping people safe and bringing crime down? And are we running a police department that we can ask people to trust?
Absolutely. And I, from the work, I would like to say this and want to believe it, that from the work, and I think we all lay foundations for someone else. I think we have to be the shoulders for others to grow.
Absolutely.
And to take it to another level.
Yes.
So I want to believe that the work is continuing. I want to believe that these town halls, that these community meetings, that a lot of the work that all of these entities that we was working with before, I don't think were working like that. I want to believe that it's working. So how can we keep that moving?
I think that I feel the same way. I think the best we can do is to sort of lay good foundations, right? We are all stewards of these organizations. And we should build them to long outlive our own time in the seats.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. We would hope.
Yes, absolutely. I think that I think this is a slow and painstaking process. I think it took us a long time to get where we are in terms of the relationship between the police department and the community, and we're not going to bend it back overnight. I do think that there is a lot of goodwill in this city around the effort to build public trust in local law enforcement. That is a kind of fragile reality, which I think needs a lot of attention. I will say, I think the most important thing to be said is that these two ideas, that we have to do a better job of keeping people safe and we have to foster public trust in the department, those are not alternatives to each other. We can't think about this in a way that we're doing one or the other.
Right.
It's that we can only do a better job of keeping people safe if we reform the way we do policing. And so I think that's the most important thing looking ahead, what this effort looks like going forward. We have to treat those two efforts as kind of necessarily two halves of the same whole.
So we were talking before about the consent decree.
Yes.
And the recommendations thereof.
All 799 of them.
799.
Yes.
What's the status?
It's not great. It's not great.
Now this has got to have been at least 5 years, 6 years?
7 years.
7 years.
Entered in 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah. It's not great, and it's going too slowly. And I think that the city has made some progress. And I think it's important to say that under the police department's current leadership, there has been a serious kind of uptick in progress. And I think that's important to say and to acknowledge.
Okay.
And that's to Superintendent Snelling's credit. That said, it remains true that we're 7 years in. And I think that a lot of Chicagoans might say that not very much is different out on the street today than it was in 2019. And that's what matters, right? Reform happens on the street, not on the paper. Mm-hmm. And so my fear about the consent decree, when you're learning to ride your bicycle, if you pedal too slowly, you tip over. And my fear about the consent decree process is that we're at risk of tipping over if we continue to go too slowly.
Okay. Now, you were saying, we was talking about 799 recommendations, correct?
799 paragraphs in the consent decree.
Paragraphs,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
So, now, so when it comes to accountability and when it comes to the relationship with the police department and the community, has it strengthened? I mean, I see some things happening.
Yeah.
I see the creation of a lot of these boards
Yep.
and these community oversight committees or
Yep.
so forth.
Yep.
So I can see some change in the district councils and all these other folks,
Yep.
coordinating councils, all these. But is it actually changing? Is it working?
That's a really important question, and I'm not sure that we know the answer yet.
So, or is it just an allotment of additional funds?
That's what we worry about, right? We worry about sort of performance art without change on the street.
Right. So talk to us about what's next for you.
I don't know yet. I will be done.
Because I'm hearing some things out. I'm hearing some things out there, and I don't want to just
Indeed.
put stuff out there unless you're comfortable with talking about it.
Absolutely. I'm happy to talk about myself anytime.
Well, talk about yourself. Tell us what's going on with Deborah.
I will be done in this job at the end of
What?
April. My 4-year term is done in April.
April.
I will have been in this office for 10 years, which has been quite an adventure. I feel very lucky to do this job, to have done this job. I also feel like I feel really confident that I will leave this office more effective and more independent than I found it.
We believe that.
Thank you.
But go on.
And so I'm excited to pass it along to the next person lucky enough to do this job. We talked about the importance of approaching these roles like stewards of these institutions. I feel really strongly about that. Mm-hmm. And I feel really strongly that my highest responsibility in this job has been to build the office to be effective and successful long after my time leading it. And so
And you have done so.
Well, thank you.
With a great deal of community trust.
I appreciate
But tell us what's next for the office with you involved. Now, my understanding is April is it, correct?
April's it. April's
Okay.
it. I have every expectation that the office will continue to do really critical work to build a government that more closely resembles the one that Chicagoans deserve. I have tremendous faith in the fine people working there doing the work every day.
So how could people get in touch with your office if they need to as we close?
At igchicago.org, and we're always happy to hear from people.
Well, you heard it here first. So we're hearing a lot of good things going on, and then unfortunately we're hearing some things about time limits or time to let it pass the torch, which is a good thing. It's always good to pass the torch. But listen, you've been watching Fathers Who Care, and we really appreciate your commitment. Please send your young people over. Let us continue to empower, engage, and develop them. Also, parents and community members, if you're interested in some additional work in the community, civic engagement, and some of the others, give us a call at 773-287-5821. Again, we want to thank our dear friend, our Inspector, City of Chicago Inspector General, Deborah Witzburg, for all the good work she's doing. And in the event we don't get a chance to see her before she leaves, let's show our love to her now and tell her right now we love you, we appreciate you. You have done a yeoman's job, and you're a good steward of the city's resources and the work that you've been doing. So keep up the good work. We love you dearly.
Thank you so much.
God bless you. Good night, and we'll see you soon.